Right now, though, let's go back to the Conservative Party conference in Birmingham. The Bright Blue think tank is running 33 events with over 100 speakers at the event in Birmingham. And Sam Robison is a senior research fellow there at the Bright Blue think tank. A very good evening now to you, Sam. Thanks for joining us here on LBC News.
Good evening. Thank you for having me on.
Pleasure. So talk to me a little bit about what the mood is like there at the Conservative Party conference right now. We've just heard two major speeches, three if you include Theresa Coffey as the Health Secretary. What do you make of what Suella Braverman has had to say, alongside also hearing from James Cleverly, I've forgotten his title. He is, of course, the Foreign Secretary. What do you make of what they've had to say?
Well, I think it's fair to say that the mood feels at a fever pitch. Obviously, there's been a lot of consternation about the 45p rate, especially Suella Braverman focused on that, and I think a lot of the divisions we're seeing in the conference are just because. Really, this is quite a significant departure from the 2019 manifesto. Obviously, focusing particularly on the 45p rate U-turn. This wasn't in the leadership campaign, and also universal credit. Some of the things we've been hearing recently as well did not figure so much in the leadership campaign. So I think really a lot of MPs have been taken by surprise about that. Since 2019, really the offer the Tories were giving the country was stronger worker rights, sharing out opportunity across the country. So I think a lot of the consternation that we're hearing from figures such as Michael Gove is around the fact that this is a very sharp change, and it's very difficult to see that Liz Truss has a big mandate for much of this.
So she's got a big task ahead of her tomorrow then, with her speech. What are you expecting her to say?
I think she does have a big task to unify the party. We've seen that there's been a lot of cracks emerging in the party with some different ideas and contrasting takes emerging. But I think the fundamental mission of Liz Truss's government, economic growth, I think is that's one the party can get behind. Obviously, there are some disagreements on how you do that. But fundamentally, I think all wings of the Conservative Party care about economic growth. And really, I think what Liz Truss needs to say is to recognise that some of the ideas coming from other wings of the party are very well founded. The central mission that Liz Truss's government has is a very important one. We do need more economic growth over the long term. We can't keep having low growth and low productivity. But Thatcher is another major project that sought to enhance economic growth, and Thatcher wasn't built in a day. It took patient perseverance over many years of maintaining party unity and making pragmatic changes to policy. So I think the growth plan can still be saved, and I think Liz Truss can still achieve the central mission that she wants to with her government if she can convince Tory MPs that she's ready to listen.
And we had the Labour Party conference only last week, and a lot of what was said about that was pretty positive. It feels pretty different when you look at what's going on in Birmingham with the Conservative Party conference. What do you think the differences are there? I mean, commentators have been saying that the discipline's gone in the Tory party. What do you think about that?
I think the Labour Party seem to stand on a clear platform, but really it's not game over. I think is the thing we need to take away for Liz Truss's emphasis on economic growth. It's just that she needs to take on board some of the ideas coming out from the party, and I think there's been a very.
What are some of those ideas? I mean, you've been holding some of these events with lots of speakers. What ideas are people coming up with that we're not talking about?
Well, I think we've heard about universal credit. I think there's an important point to be made there. In framing her mission as economic growth, there's been some very black and white distinctions being made by the government between growth and redistribution. But really, if you want to have a sustainable strategy on economic growth, you need a bit of both. If you want to maintain political support, and indeed on universal credit, there's little evidence that. That increasing universal credit diminishes work incentives. So I think, especially during this time, that's a potential olive branch and a good thing to offer to MPs. I think continuing with this black and white distinction between growth and redistribution is going to perpetuate some of the difficulties that the government has been facing.
Just finally, on the polls that we've been seeing, they obviously put Labour well ahead. Is there much conversation around these polls at the Tory party conference, and do you think the Prime Minister and the Chancellor can come back from these devastating polls that are really showing what a wide gap there is between Labour and the Conservatives?
Well, there's a lot of quiet consternation, I imagine, at the party conference. I'm sure it's the subject of many conversations inside the ICC. But we have seen leads chipped away, big leads. Remember, Labour in the mid 90s were roaring ahead. By 30, 25, 30 points or so in the polls, and at the end of the day, their lead was only 13 points or so. There's still 2 years to play out, and we don't know yet if Liz Truss's strategy will pay off in 2024 with some growth. So I think that there's still time for polling to shift substantially, but I think the work on the part of the government needs to start now, to start listening to some of these ideas coming from elsewhere in the party and building those bridges.
Well, great to get your thoughts, Sam. Thank you very much for joining us here on LBC News. That's Sam Robison, Senior Research Fellow at the Bright Blue think tank.